All right, pal. So finally we're back. Yeah. So thanks for your patience on all this. I had a little
No
glitch in the
worries.
system, so I had to take a little bit more time than we expected today.
No worries.
But anyway, I just wanted to go through all these pictures you sent me and some other ones that I found just to see what you
Wow.
think about. Let's see.
So what do? I just comment on a picture?
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of your thing. So
Oh, now I know what my thing is. Oh,
do you see that?
yeah, look at that. Wow.
Yeah, so I just want to get an idea, like what's going on there.
That's Memphis. Uh Memphis,
Memphis.
Tennessee. We were playing there. PRiSM was playing there. And we had quite a big, we had a modest hit down there called Flying. And the record company staged a contest in cities all across America where we were on tour, that PRiSM would take you flying. So radio station contest winners would show up, and we would have to send 2 or 3 or 4 guys from the band, and we would take these kids up in a helicopter, which was very frightening. And for some reason, somebody showed up with this lion cub. So Al Harlow and I ended up holding that thing.
Why did you say the helicopter thing was frightening?
Well, the helicopters that they hired to do this weren't Rolls Royces.
Why would they do
that? I mean, they really. I mean, you talk about shake, rattle, and roll. Pretty scary.
Oh man, that's
anyway.
funny.
I don't know why the lion cub was there, but the poor lion cub didn't get to fly in the helicopter.
Yeah, but at least you got to hold one.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I could hold that a couple of years later.
Now, Flying was an Al Harlow song, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And now, did he have that before PRiSM, and it just got incorporated into the band, or?
No, he wrote that during the recording process of the See Forever Eyes album.
Yeah, that was a great hit. I remember it really well.
Al wrote several songs, like specifically during the PRiSM era. But you're right, we also incorporated a couple of Al Harlow songs from his past. Nickels and Dimes, for instance.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I remember Nickels and Dimes.
A real good song. And Bruce Fairbairn heard it, and he said, I want that song. And next thing you know, it was on the album.
Oh, great. Okay. So, and what year would this have been? Like 1980?
78. Summer of 1978.
Okay. There we go.
Look at those guys. Al Harlow, Lindsay Mitchell.
And
you know
Lindsay playing a Yamaha guitar.
Yeah. Lindsay had a lot of guitars. He had some locally made Attila guitars. He had quite a few of those. He really liked them. I can't remember all his guitars.
I went to a jazz club.
Oh, your vocal is just crapped out.
Oh, my vocal's bad?
Yeah, I can barely hear you now.
Really? Well, let me fix that. So that's not good.
That sounds better already. I don't know what
maybe
that's better. You sound better now. For a minute there, and it went really quiet, and it was kind of crapping out.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so that's this is most likely the song "Take Me Away," which was one of Al's songs, because when we played this song live, our keyboard player John Hall would play the bass on his left hand on a like a Moog or something like that.
Oh.
Because "Take Me Away" had this really signature 2-guitar thing, signature line, which Al and Lindsay are playing right here in this photo.
Hmm. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. I was in Gastown one day and went into a jazz club. You can hear me okay now, right?
Yep.
Okay. And Lindsay was in there playing a big bodied, looked like a Gretsch or Gibson guitar, something like that. And I
Yeah.
couldn't believe what a great guitar player he is for playing like old blues and jazz. It
That's
blew my
his
mind.
that's his thing. He's a picker. He can, when you get into that, it's a hard thing to describe, that country blues jazz thing he gets into. He has no equal.
Yeah, I was blown away with how great he was as a guitar player. Really, like it was just a side of him that I didn't know existed. And I've really gained a whole new respect for him.
Yeah, he's and the funny thing about Lindsay is that he had that from the start. Right. I mean, we met up with Lindsay. He was, I think, 17 maybe years old, and he was already just a virtuoso on the guitar. Where that came from, I don't know. He never, like most of us, he never learned. He never went to lessons and learned music and all that. He just picked up a guitar and started playing it, and he was always great, always a
Wow.
great guitar player from day one. The
Was his
seeds
fam
time
was
was
his family musical?
not that I know. No, I don't think so. I knew his family. Uh, his father was like a judge. His father was a Vancouver judge.
Oh,
Mother was a homemaker, I think. They lived in North Van. No, I don't remember any music coming from the other Mitchells in that family, but it sure rained down on Lindsay. That
wow.
guy had a gift, has a gift. He's still playing and he plays great.
Okay.
Ah, there they are again. That's the two of them. That's
Uh,
Al and Lindsay, and that's in I'm going to guess around 1970, maybe 71. Looks to me like Al and I had just returned from England. We had spent quite a bit of time gallivanting around parts of Europe. Oh, yeah, definitely, because Al is smoking a cigarette. Um, Al has never smoked in his life, I don't think, until he got to Europe, and he smoked every day. When I got there, the same thing happened to me. I started smoking the first day I was in London and smoked the whole time I was in Europe. And then the day I came back to Vancouver, I never smoked again. So that was my only experience with smoking. I was a lousy smoker.
yeah. You have to be good at it.
Yeah, I mean, like, these 1940s film noir actors, the way they light up a cigarette and hold it. I mean, it's the coolest thing you've ever seen. I just fumbled around with the cigarette and never knew how to hold it properly. And it's an art form.
I'm assuming this next picture might be the same thing.
There we are in England. That's at a pub in London. I actually remember this. We were meeting with a record company who was interested in Al. How could you not be interested in that? Look at them.
I know he's definitely always had the rock star thing down.
He had the rock star thing. He's always had. He still has it to this day. He's out there playing all the time. He's got 20 wardrobe changes and about 40 guitars. Uh, yeah, he's unstoppable. And we were there oh, hey, it's Baby.
Yeah,
That was my 1958 Corvette.
I remember that car. I also
Yeah,
remember your Eldorado.
well,
You had a big white Eldorado at one time, didn't you?
yeah. I had several. I was sort of a car guy for a while. I had a Camaro. I actually had two Corvettes. I had a 1958 and a 1960. And then my girlfriend at the time talked me into buying this triple white 1973 Cadillac Eldorado. and I was embarrassed to have that, to be seen in driving that car until I started driving it. And then I never drove anything else except the Eldorado. It was the most beautiful car I ever drove. I didn't care if anybody laughed at me or not. Oh, look at that. So that's that's the recording of the Visions album.
Yeah, John Webster.
Webster on keyboards, and that's Skip Press right in front there, guitarist and co-composer, and that's my little son Cale. He would have been about 6 years old there. He used to hang around. He was a studio rat.
Yeah, I remember going to a couple of the sessions for Visions, and I remember seeing
didn't you do some Bee Gees for us?
I did on the song Andromeda, I think.
That's right. Yeah,
I think I did a couple of things like some Oz and stuff, and then I did the answer to Andromeda.
That's right. Yep, a small but important role.
Yeah. There we go. Now this is a book everybody should read.
Well, it is a journey. It's a journey to where and how, I'm not really sure, which is why it's called Lost in Space. But I think it does a good job of telling the story of the 60s and 70s. I really paid attention to that, the historical things that happened, because that was the world I lived in. So it's more about a story of that decade, middle 60s to middle 70s, and than it is about any individual.
Yeah, well, I moved to Vancouver in November of '78, so it was really nice to. I had been in Vancouver in '76, but I didn't actually move there until '78, November '78. But just hearing all the things that happened in Vancouver through, the Summer of Love era and all that stuff in the 60s and into the 70s through your eyes was absolutely magnificent. I read that book 3 times, and I keep thumbing through it. I keep thumbing through it all the time. Just like if I need to pick me up, I'll read a chapter.
Mick, you shouldn't read it. It's smut.
It is smut.
Look what it says at the top here. Despite the booze and the drugs and the sex, or possibly because of them. That's good. Well, yeah, there's a lot of that going on, all right, because the story basically starts in the Summer of Love, and Summer of Love lasted almost 3 years, and then it became the Summer of Sex, and that lasted, well, till now. But there's a difference. It was free love in the 60s. In the 70s, it was free sex. Quite a different thing. Right. But pretty wild. So I put it all in the book.
Well, that was when they came up with the old birth control pill. All of a sudden, everybody could have sex without worrying about pregnancy.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have any serious sexual diseases either. And the worst that would happen is you get the clap, you go down to the clinic, and give you a shot, and you walk out of there and go back to work. So, it was pretty simple, but you didn't have things that, now what happened after that with, having sex can kill you. It's a good way to go, though, Bob.
Yeah. The 1980s changed everything, it seems.
Jeff Eddington, who in later years, around this time that this photo was taken, morphed into a character called King Dudley. And yes, he was the king. He was royalty. Look at that guy.
Where did the name King Dudley come from?
Came from him.
Because I met him as King Dudley, as the DJ at the body shop before I knew anything about. So I didn't know about Seas of Time or anything like that.
He was amazing.
I wasn't from Vancouver.
He could ad lib. He's a Robin Williams type. He could improvise, and well, Seas of Time often would go on stage with no set list, no repertoire. Somebody in the band would start playing something, and we'd all join in, and we'd make up a song. And Jeff would make up lyrics on the spot, a whole song, chorus, verse, chorus, a middle eight, a bridge, whatever you want. And it was incredible. And then, of course, we'd forget it and never play it again. So it's like going to it was kind of like going to a Grateful Dead concert. I mean, we would jam stuff, except we jammed songs. And a lot of that was the the genius of Jeff. He became King Dudley much later. He turned into King Dudley in the later 70s. Seeds of Time was really a 60s band. That's how far back we go. We formed in 1965 and was together until 1975. But Jeff was the original singer, and pretty well, he's pretty much the singer the whole time. We did have problems, mostly health problems, self-inflicted health problems, where certain members would just not be well enough to play. But that all adds to the mix of the interest of what happened in those days. And anyway, I put it all in that book, so it's public knowledge. But Jeff was the leader, and there he is.
In part one of this interview, we talked about how PRiSM did those 2 shows at the Body Shop.
Yeah.
And of course, at that same time, Shamma had become a very popular band at the Body Shop. So we had, of course, Worm and Helmar had invited the band down to see you guys and all that sort of stuff, which was great for us. And plus, Bruce Allen was representing us at the time as well.
Yeah.
So I remember listening to you guys play, and I walked over to Jeff, who was in the DJ booth as King Dudley. And I said, what do you think? He says, it's my band. I said, what are you talking about? He says, because I didn't know about the Seeds of Time, like I just said. He said, yeah, well, this is basically my band, except it's a different guy on vocals. Yeah. I said, what? And then he told me about the Seeds of Time briefly in that period. I was like, really? Wow. I didn't know Jeff even sang. I just knew him as this incredibly funny DJ who kept us in stitches the entire night.
It's amazing. And he makes it all up. He's not doing material. He's ad-libbing. Yeah. He is a really remarkable guy. He succumbed about 3 or 4 years ago. He'd been an addict pretty much all his life, and it finally took him. But he was in his early 70s.
And what did he specifically die of?
Not really sure. I'm not really sure. He was in a care facility in Alberta somewhere for several years before he died. What he died of exactly, I'm not really sure.
Okay. And by the way, I should have prefaced this. These pictures are not in any particular order. They're just
I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are. The first time we played the Montreal Forum, and we all got our photo taken in front of the Montreal Canadiens dressing room. There's John Hall in front of the dressing room. It was a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we ended up playing the Forum. I guess we have to call it the old Forum now. I think they built a new one, but we played there 3 times at least. This is the first time.
Oh, by the way, you being a baseball guy, you'll love this, because right next door here, my wife has turned into an absolute Blue Jays nut. So she's watching the game next door.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can hear the crack of the bat. I can smell the grass. There he is again. John Hall standing in the middle of Sunset Boulevard. So we had just flown in. We were on this crisscrossing tour all over the United States, and we're flying we had tour buses, we had rented cars, we had planes, we had all kinds of stuff. But we were a support band. This was first album. This is the PRiSM album. See Forever Eyes, the second album, hadn't even been recorded yet when we were here. Anyway, we landed in LA, and the record company had limousines for us. When we caught off out in front of the LAX there, and there was two big black Lincoln limousines, and that was the first time I ever rode in a limousine. With pretty exciting. And when we got in the car, the record company rep had arranged. He had it timed, I guess, and he had it arranged with K West, the big radio station, that as we were driving from the airport to the hotel, the DJ put on Spaceship Superstar and said, K West and all of Los Angeles, welcomes PRiSM to, So I don't know how much our guy paid off the record company to do that, but it was quite thrilling anyway.
Oh, absolutely. I bet that'd be amazing.
Why John Hall is standing in the middle of Sunset Boulevard, I'm not really sure.
Pretending to thumb a ride, apparently. And it looks like
that way.
It looks like that Honda Civic just passed him by.
I guess so. Well, he should be wearing a skirt.
I'm just looking at over on the left-hand side of the picture. You see a light blue Pinto. When was the last time you saw one of those?
Yeah, but it certainly dates the photo, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Yeah. This is a Seeds of Time reunion. We played at the Kitsilano days. So from the left, you got John Hall, Steve Wally, the Seeds of Time's bass player, Jeff Eddington, my wife B, me in the psychedelic shirt, Lindsay Mitchell, and Donna Adams, our really good friend, who was visiting from Edmonton. Actually, she came down for this reunion. This was the last time that the Seeds of Time ever played together. And for some reason, it was really good. We played a really good set. And that was it. And then Steve died a few years later with of complications, diabetes.
Oh, wow.
Donna Adam died about 4 years ago of cancer. Jeff Eddington died, same thing, about 3 years ago, and we're not sure what. The rest of us are still here.
Now, it's really, I'm just making note of your glasses. The sunglasses you were wearing in the very first picture of this series look identical. They're not the same.
They lasted a long time, those square glasses. I had them. In fact, I still have them somewhere.
Wow.
I've seen them. They're somewhere in my possession.
Well, I just thought it was a coincidence. I didn't realize they were the same glasses.
Yeah, the same ones. They were custom made for me. Probably around 1970 or so, and they sort of became a signature. And like I say, I still have them.
Wow.
No
doubt this is the Hun band.
This is the Hun band. There's the U on the right.
Donnie that's Donnie.
Yep, Donnie Underhill. He's the U of Hun, and there's Norton there in the back, one of the ends. So it's Paul, Underhill, Norton, and Neil. Hun.
We've got a few more of those. I don't know if they're in 6. It's actually, let's see. Yeah, Donnie. Donnie was always a great bass player in Trooper, but he excelled in the Hun. The bass parts he came up with in the Hun, and the sound he had was unbelievably great.
He was the star. He was really the star of Hun. I've told him that. Some of the things that some of the music he played was just unreal. It was such a joy. Loved that. Just loved that band.
And that opening of Meltdown.
Yeah.
It sounds like a synthesizer, and it's this bass with a chorus on it or something, or a flanger. Unbelievable. Just a great opening.
Yep. Well, Jeff Neal, who was the leader, he was the lead singer and lead guitar player, and really the star of the show. he calls Hun the greatest band that never was. We played a few gigs. We made a demo recording. We had one of the top record companies at the time offered us a record deal, but Donnie was still in Trooper.
Right.
And John Hall and I, the keyboard player and I, were still in PRiSM. And PRiSM was the group of the year that year. They won the Juno for group of the year. And Trooper had won it the year before. So we were the two top bands in Canada. And the three of us were ready to quit our bands to go with Jeff Neal in this Hun band. It would have been, a huge story, because we would have taken the two top bands in Canada down. I mean, they might have recovered with other players, but would have been pretty controversial. And I know the record company that we were going to sign with would have really pushed this thing. It would have been quite a huge story. But Jeff went off to join Street Art instead, and so it was that he recently has named Hun the greatest band that never was. Now, I'm putting on the Fuck Cancer 2 concert October 21st to benefit children's cancer, and Hun is going to reunite and play one song.
Oh, really? Oh, great.
We're really excited about that. And it's conceivable, because we've now talked about it and everybody's in agreement that we might actually play a weekend gig somewhere in the new year, which means that I have to stay alive. I can't let cancer take me until we can do the Hun thing somewhere in like February, March. So these things, it's like George Burns, the famous vaudevillian comedian. He said that he can't die because he's booked, and he lived to 100. So I'm kind of following in George's philosophy here. If I keep doing things, you can't take me.
Correct.
Yeah. St. Peter, you can't take me because I can't go. I'm booked. Oh, well, there's the whole Hun band. You get Jeff Neal on the left there, and Donnie, a little bit of John Hall on the right,
And you're stuck
Bill
behind some
Rocket
cymbals.
behind all those drums. You see Donnie standing in front of me. Yeah, that's just Donnie. Way to go. He's like that, he's very, he wants to hog the spotlight, right, Donnie?
I wonder where that was.
I know exactly where that is. That is the Boo Pub out there in Coquitlam. It was a nightclub called the Boo Pub. Can't remember the name of the hotel.
The Caribou Hotel.
The Caribou Hotel. Because we played there. We didn't play many gigs, but I mean, because look at the drum set. It's got tubular bells, it's got timpani, it's got all these electric drums, it's got all this stuff. So when we played anywhere, the drums took up the whole stage. Yeah. And the band usually had to set up on the dance floor. So it might be what's happening here. Not sure. Oh, yeah. So after the Seeds of Time, Steve and Jeff had to drop out. Jerry Doucette and Rick Enns joined the band, and we became the Rocket Norton Band. And there it is, the Rocket Norton Band. So me and John Hall and Rick Enns and Jerry Doucette. And we recorded a Lindsay Mitchell song called "I'm Your Submarine," with a B-side of this instrumental called "Donkey Chain," that Jerry Doucette wrote. But this recording was done in somebody's living room on like a 4-track, machine. It was really lousy, so it never actually got released.
Now, Was Rick a good singer?
Rick was an incredible singer.
So him and Jerry together must have been amazing because Jerry was such a
Well,
talent. Great
the
guitar player, great singer.
oh yeah, I mean Jerry was an immense talent, as we all know, because he went off on his own after this, and did extremely well. Jerry was incredible. He played with the Rocket Norton Band, was together for 2 years, and Jerry, and we played every night. And as you may remember, we literally played every night because nightclubs started opening on Sundays. So instead of playing 6 nights, Monday to Saturday, we started playing 7 nights. Monday to Sunday, then you tear it down, load it out Sunday night, and then Monday, go to another club, load it in, set it all up, and play for 7 days. We did that for like a full year. Like I had hardly ever even a day off. But the funny thing about the secret of the Rocket Norton Band, especially in the vocals, is that yes, Jerry Doucette was an amazing singer, and Rick Enns was right there with him, and they could sing so high and so pure, and it was just incredible. But what I found out years later, because our keyboard player John Hall, he recorded quite a few of the Rocket Norton Band live gigs we did, and we did a lot of. You had to do a lot of covers in those days, and we covered a lot of the Bee Gees and the Eagles, and it was John Hall that got the high note. So he was the guy singing those Barry Gibb, like incredibly high but perfect notes along with it. So the harmonies in this band were just phenomenal. It was an incredible vocal band, and it was pretty darn good musically too with these guys. Rick Enns was a classically trained musician. In fact, he was probably my only real teacher as a drummer, just playing with him, like, because you had to be perfect. Like if the tempo went off, like a drummer needs to hold the tempo, like it has to be right on. You can't speed up or slow down. And I wasn't that good at it until I started playing with Rick, and he had perfect time. So if I was faltering in any way, I would get a dirty look from Rick. And so I didn't want a dirty look from Rick, so I had to really work on that. And I did. So it became an obsession to play in the pocket, for me to play like perfect time. I don't think I achieved it like 100%, but it's pretty close now, and that's thanks to Rick, his bass playing.
Wow.
Yeah, there's the back cover of Immortal, a compilation album from the Seed to Time. The Seed to Time never actually recorded an album. We had some singles that did very well. We just never got around to it. We were just basically too drugged out. I mean, to really get anything together. It's amazing we recorded this many songs, and where these recordings came from it's varied. But
So the Seeds of Time recorded that Al Harlow song "Nickels and Dimes," which is up on the top right-hand side.
there's been at least 3 recordings of Nickels and Dimes. There's the original Al, well, I'm going to say it, the Al Horwitz, because Al was known as Horwitz.
Right.
It was a nickname. It came from high school, I heard. Like kids at high school started calling him Horwitz. Anyway, it was. So there was the Al Horwitz band recorded it, and then the Seed of Time recorded it with Jeff Eddington singing it, and then PRiSM recorded it with Ron Tabak singing it.
Interesting.
It is actually a really good song. Oh, and there's the front cover, Immortal.
Do you know where that was taken?
Sorry, what's that?
Where was that picture taken?
That picture was taken on the front porch of our first band house. Oh, Yeah, our first band house. So that'd be about 1969. And there's the actual seed the time. There's Steve Wally, Lindsay Mitchell, John Hall, Rocket Norton, and Jeff Eddington.
Boy, Lindsay's got the big hair there.
Everybody's got the big hair there, which is this is another very odd thing. You can see John Hall there, has a full head of hair. He's got like almost a helmet of hair. And within 2 years, and you wouldn't know this, but in this photo, John has the big hair, but he's got a completely bald chest. I don't know, like a little boy's chest. And within 2 years, John had gone almost completely bald and grew like a fur t-shirt. Like it was just weird. I mean, where all his hair went from his head to his chest. Very strange.
I think that happens to a lot of people.
I don't know, but it was very odd. This is the Night Train Review. Kenny McCall on the left and Joni Bai on the right. And they were the Sweethearts of Soul.
Now this was a remake of the Night Train Review, was it not? Was Denise McCann part of that as well?
Well, what happened is we formed a band, and Joni Bai and her boyfriend and my good pal Tim McHugh on Hammond organ were in the band. But at some point, the two of them wanted to go off and just do their own thing. I mean, we were doing a show, a rhythm and blues show, and they were both really good at it. And everybody it was a really good band. But they wanted to go off and do their own thing. So we were really lucky. We ended up getting Denise McCann to become one of the Sweethearts of Soul. We called her Dee Dee Mac, or sometimes Little Dee Dee Mac, because Kenny McCall there on the singer on the left, we called him what was he? He was Billy Mac. He was Billy Mac. So it was a kind of they were supposed to be the Sweethearts of Soul. We also got Mike Calanche, who is arguably the best B3 player in the country. So that was really something. And the band was great. It was a big band, and three-piece horn section, and really did a great job of covering the and the key to it was the drummer, Doug Cuthbert, was the original drummer of the original Night Train Review. So when we were putting the band together, he said he owned the name Night Train Review, and he wanted to call this band the Night Train Review as well. So we did. And Cuthbert, Doug Cuthbert, was an expert rhythm and blues drummer. He really had all the little tricks down, and he was fantastic.
All that Motown stuff.
Oh man, especially Motown. He really had the Motown thing, because the Memphis thing is a little different. It's a little different sound than Motown. Motown is slicker, and he really had the Motown deal. Anyway, it was a fantastic show. Oh, there he is, Billy Mac, Kenny McCall.
Now where are we?
That's Moulin Rouge in you know where, in Paris, France, and you can see the shadows. This is very interesting because it looks to me like there's Al and I, and these two English girls that we had met, and we all became boyfriend girlfriends, and went to Paris. But I guess there's four shadows there. I think the shadow on the left is just some unknown person, and Al's taking the photo.
That's what I would suspect.
And
it looks like that unknown shadow looks like it might be about to walk past you.
Yes, or maybe kill us. I'm not sure. Anyway, we did survive, and there we are.
Or sell you some Grey Poupon. Okay.
Ah, let's see. I think that's a Christmas party. I lived in this house. This is a house in New Westminster. Um, Jeff Eddington's family had a family friend, an Austrian man who was an antique dealer named Peter Gerloff. Um, and when the Seed to Time band house in Burnaby that we lived in for a couple of years, we mostly due to drug addiction, we kind of fell apart, and I became kind of homeless right away. And this Peter Gerloff offered me like a boarding room, so I ended up moving in, living in this house, which was just amazing. I mean, there were Rembrandt paintings in the house, and you walked into the foyer, and there were knights in armor, like in a big castle.
Right.
Oh, it was to describe the thing it's very difficult. But anyway, this is little Steve Wally there lighting up a who knows what. Jeff Eddington barely see his nose off there on the left. And the young lady in the red there is Steve's girlfriend then, but then they married, and they were married till Steve passed away. That's Linda on the left there.
Wow.
Oh, and there they are. Boy, did you choreograph this? Gee,
Not on purpose.
Okay, well, that's Steve Wally and his then girlfriend and soon to be wife, Linda. Oh yeah, there we are.
There's Al with the same two girls.
The same two girls looking away from us again. Why are they looking? Maybe I guess they're embarrassed to be with us. This time it's Al in the photo and I'm taking the photo, and the last time it was me in the photo and Al taking the photo. And we went in and saw this, the last tango in Paris, in Paris in French. And when I don't know, I guess it's theaters looks like it's closed there, but anyway, it finally opened. We went in, and it was funny because everybody in the theater is smoking, and you have to have an usher take you to the seat. And there was only like a dozen people in the theater, but yeah, and then she stood there and started yelling at us, going, "Service, service, service." And so somebody in the theater said, you tip, you have to give the usher a tip. It was also, and then when the movie came on, they didn't turn all the lights out in the theater. It was like there were lights on. It was like watching TV in your living room.
Wow.
Very strange. Very strange. Oh.
Now that must be, I'm trying to figure out if that's the cover for the music that goes along with it. Oh yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, that was the front and this is the back. Yeah. The publisher would include the CD of all these songs, because in the book most of these songs are mentioned, or described even with the lyrics. But of course, somebody's just reading a book; they have no idea what it sounds like. So we did this.
Yeah, great idea.
Now, let me guess. That must be some kind of party for the See Forever Eyes album, because everybody's holding a See Forever Eyes album. And where that is, I have no idea, because this happened hundreds of times across America. And, except for the boys in the band, which I can pick out here and there. There's Ron, there's Johnny, and there they are. Yeah, I have no idea where that is. That could be anywhere.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, Young and Restless album cover. The artist that did this album cover, he had to find the people in this photo and get their permission to use the photo. And the photo was taken, I guess, in the late 50s. And of course, this album came out around 1980 or so. So he had to track these people down. And how he did it, I have no idea. But he did. And he got a release from 1, 2, 3, 4, these 6 people. But there were 7 people in the photo. And the 7th guy refused to give permission. But it just so happened that that guy was on the end, one end or the other. And so they just cropped him out. And there's the album cover.
It's such a classic Archie comics. Even the car, the jalopy, it's
I know.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, there was some information about all that. And oh, I remember, I don't know if we have this photo, if it's coming up, but we got an album, like one of the gold or platinum records awards we got. It was probably for Armageddon, the album before this. But the Playboy of the Year, Dorothy Stratton, was in Vancouver, and she presented it to us. So Bruce Allen arranged for our manager, Bruce Allen arranged for a big party, and Dorothy Stratton came and gave us the award. And all these folks here in this photo were invited, and they were all there. And so there were stories of where this jalopy, where the jalopy came from, and there were, all kinds of stuff. It was very cool.
It's such a tragedy what happened to Dorothy Stratton too.
Yes, it was, and the an odd thing, happened to be listening to the radio, and I heard a PRiSM song called "Cover Girl" that Lindsay Mitchell wrote for Dorothy, maybe the day after she died, or she was murdered. Mm-hmm. And Ron Tabak, who sings the song, of course, he was really taken with Dorothy. She was a real sweetie. And I don't know how he even got through doing the lyrics. He was just in tears. But it's a very, I just heard the song, and I remember thinking that that's a really good song. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was a pretty good hit for us too. So
PRiSM had a lot of great hits.
Do you know what I'm just going out in next week with the boy. There are 4 living members of PRiSM, and we're going out to Toronto to accept Canada's Walk of Fame award. What was I going to? Oh, they did research on this, and they said to me, yes, we did, because they wanted to make sure that whoever they're inducting was worthy of being inducting. So they did research on it and found out that PRiSM had 21 singles. I thought it was 16, but I'd forgotten that we did have a few singles after the Ron Tabak, what we call the Ron Tabak era, which is the only real era of PRiSM. Right. But we did an album with Henry Small that bombed, didn't work. The fans didn't buy the new sound. But we had two really good singles from that album, and a few years later, PRiSM reformed with a vocalist named Darcy Deutsch, which was really fantastic. And we recorded an album with him called Jericho, which is really an excellent album. So we had I can't remember how many singles. I was 2 singles from that album. There was Good to Be Back and The Way of the World, which were both written by Al Harlow with Jim Vallance, and Good to Be Back also with Bryan Adams. Anyway, it's 21. We had 21 singles. So it was a pretty decent career.
Wow.
Yeah, and there it is. There's your late 70s, early 80s rock band. Yeah. Lots of hair, some leather, some satin.
Got it all covered.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Oh, seems to be a live gig with Lindsay and Ron and some drummer and all in gold there.
What kit do you have there? Is that a Ludwig kit or a Milestone?
I had a lot of drum sets, and I tell you, that one is Camco.
Oh, okay, Camco. Ah,
There's another one of those things.
another See Forever Eyes thing.
Yeah,
And the square glasses. They make an
yeah.
appearance again.
I had them. I used in PRiSM. I wore them a lot. Um, I mean, like I said, I haven't even seen them now in the last 20 years or so, 30 years even. But yeah, when I had them, I wore them all the time. Oh, Peaches, right? That's a Peaches store. That was a big that was a big chain, maybe the biggest. And so every town we went to, we did one of these in-store appearances. So this would have been the staff, of the. So we had, and then we would sit at this table here and sign autographs. There's another one. That's me down. There's the square glasses again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somewhere just behind me there was Al. There's John. Anyway, it was a swarm. We got swarmed. I don't know where we were, but that happened. There's the cover of Music Scene group. Yeah, that was the year we got Group of the Year. Now this is the first incarnation of PRiSM. You can see Tom Lavin there up behind me. I'm on the left there. Tom's up behind me. Tom Lavin. He was originally the live bass player. The first year, 1977, we had a lot of touring, especially in the United States. And he was the bass player. Tom is incredible. He's in any band, he can play all the instruments better than anyone else. Quite unnerving.
Yeah. I like Tom a lot.
Oh, Tom is the sweetest guy in the world. He's just great, and you can't find a better musician. Oh, we're on to back.
Yes. Camco. There you go.
Drummer. Oh, there it is. Right. There's the answer to your question.
Even a Beltry. No, that's not a Beltry. What's that called?
Yeah, that's a Beltry, isn't it?
Well, I thought the Beltry was the one where that they hang. The little tubes hang.
Oh, there's one of those there too. I guess you can't see it because it's right behind the belt, whatever this thing is. But it's the way it's positioned because the song "Night to Remember" has that Beltry thing in it at the beginning. So
it seemed like every time I saw you play, it was like seeing a drum store up on stage.
Yeah, I had a lot of drums. You'd be very interested in the upcoming Fuck Cancer 2 show. I'm playing 2 drum sets, different drum sets. My opening drum set is a brand new custom-made Ray Ayotte set that drum master Ray Ayotte is currently building right now for me for this performance. It's quite radical. It's really going to be interesting. But I have a second set of drums that I'm going to play later in the show. They're hard to describe, but I'll leave you wondering. But they're made out of wine kegs.
Wow.
And they sound incredible. So it'd be very, very, very interesting and a lot of fun to do that at the show. Play those 2 drum sets. There we are somewhere. Now that's a great shot. You got that. That's what I'm talking about. See, there's the 2 Group of the Years. I think Trooper were 79 and we were 80, or were they 80 and we were 81? I can't remember. But back to back. There's the Rocket Norton Band. John Hall, Rick Enns, Jerry Doucette, and me.
Another one?
That's another one, but this one is interesting because on the left there, that's Bruce Nessel. Bruce Nessel took the place of John Hall. Jerry Doucette wanted, I think, more of a what was I thinking? Bruce was more of a, I was going to say R&B, but that's not factual because John played great R&B, but John played great everything. But for some reason, Jerry really pressed to get Bruce in the band, and Bruce was a fantastic guy. And by the way, a pro golfer, an incredible golfer. Don't ever play with Bruce because you'll lose. Unfortunately, Bruce passed away last year. So, yeah, so that's still the Rocket Norton Band, but with Bruce.
We're back.
And there's the original one with John Hall.
And the and the chest sweater.
There you go.
Now I'm trying to figure out why Ken McCall has all that blue around his nose. Did somebody color it in?
Yeah, probably. It's hard to say why, but it doesn't look like it's really part of the photo.
No.
Poor Kenny McCall was destined for greatness, and then he had a very bad car accident that crushed his, I think his, something with his throat, and it altered the sound of his singing. And he never really, I don't think he ever really recuperated from that.
That's sad.
Well, he is such a great performer too. See, here's the third incarnation of the Rocket Norton Band. With the cowboy there, my pal Tim McHugh, the zaniest guy I've ever met, and I've met a lot of zany guys. Yeah, actually, now that I see this photo, this is the third incarnation of the Rocket Norton Band. There's actually a fourth. There's one after this. The player on the left there is Roy Thompson, phenomenal guitarist, just great. And then there's Rick and Kenny McCall and Tim and me. And there was an incarnation of the Rocket Norton Band after this, which ended up kind of morphing into the PRiSM Band. So we're getting pretty close to PRiSM here historically. Yeah, here I am. there we are back in obviously where we are with my little English girl. A lot of photos from the back, I noticed. Oh, now the fellow in the middle there was was one of Capitol Records' top promo guys. And for some reason, I had permed my hair there. Why did I do that?
Everybody was at that time.
Yeah, that looks stupid. What was that? Oh, that's me and John doing a radio thing.
It's See Forever Eyes again. I can see the back cover.
Yeah, that's on that tour. A lot of photos from there. These are the outdoor urinals that they have in Paris that I thought was so funny. Because you see men standing in there, you see their feet as you go walking by. I'm about to pop in there, I think. If I can pluck up the curtain.
I was wondering what that was when I saw that picture.
Yep. Outdoor urinals. Actually, you know what? I think that's in California somewhere. For some reason, I remember this. I think that's in San Francisco. Why I'm at McDonald's, I don't know. Oh, there I am at Peter Gerloff's house.
Hey, you're actually playing a chord on that guitar. I didn't know you played guitar.
I did. I started that guitar. I bought that Gretsch guitar in 1968 from a music store in New Westminster. It wasn't Tartini's, it was the other one down on Columbia. And it was a Gretsch guitar. I think it was $400 at the time. Maybe that was, I don't know why I think that. Anyway, it was very good guitar. And I thought, okay, I got to learn to play guitar. So I bought this book, 4,400 guitar chords, and learned all the guitar chords. So I never really learned to play guitar very well, but I could play 4,400 guitar chords. Front to back in full voice. What a beautiful guy. Front to back and his girlfriend at one of my Christmas parties. We used, no Christmas tree there. That must have been something else. Anyway, yeah, there they are. Drinking champagne. Way to go, Ron. Attaboy. I don't know what the hell that is. Oh, Chattanooga. Yeah, we played this festival there with 120,000 people, but it was kind of spread out. It was in a park, so there was a big stage, but all the 120,000 people weren't like right in front of you like a rock concert. They were kind of spread out in the trees and the grass and all this other stuff. Like they had the big giant speakers. Oh, Seeds of Time.
That'd be Stanley Park.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yes, I was going to say the Aldergrove Rock Festival, and those are Fibes drums made of fiberglass that I had for quite a while.
Oh, is that why they were called Fibes? Is because they were made from fiberglass?
Yep.
I had no idea. After
Yeah,
all these years, isn't that crazy? Because Floyd Sneed used to use Fibes drums too.
Oh yeah, they sounded great, really wide open. But it was kind of funny because the drums were made of fiberglass, and my Corvette was made of fiberglass. So my whole life I was surrounded by fiberglass. Now that's Rick Enns on bass. Don't know what happened to Steve. Like I say, there were lots of times, and John's not there, so because John kept coming and going in the Seeds of Time anyway. Like he'd get all pissed off at somebody and quit, or Jeff Eddington would get pissed with him. And I know Jeff through John had a room at our band house, and he pissed Jeff off so much that Jeff threw all his belongings out into the parking lot one time. Anyway, so there's the Seeds of Time and playing a be-in, I guess, at Stanley Park with Rick Enns on bass.
So that's Lindsay in the foreground?
Yep. Lindsay, Rocket, Rick, and Jeff Eddington, who might be able to see. You can't see it, but he's playing a flying V guitar. Jeff played guitar, rhythm guitar pretty well. So when John wasn't around, Jeff we'd become a guitar quartet.
Oh, okay.
This photo is really cool. This is 1967 summer. And we had this, there's a John Hall, Steve Wally, me, and Jeff Eddington at the PNE. So in late August. And we had just returned from a barnstorming tour of BC and Alberta. And our guitar player at the time, this is just before Lindsay Mitchell joined the Seeds of Time, was our guitar player was George Greenwell. And he was a really good guitar player. And his hero was, he loved the Grateful Dead. And he
Jerry
really
Garcia.
had that. What's that?
Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, he's a Jerry Garcia fan, and he really had that sound and that style down. And he could sing pretty great too. So he picked up some of the singing. But we had just returned. We're all stoned on acid there. Just completely bombed.
Wow.
This is when we Seeds of Time put out their second single, Cry in the Blues, Al Harlow, who, as I say, went by Horowitz, and you can see down in the left-hand corner of the thing, his signature, Horowitz. But that's Cry in the Blues. And he did that for the RPM Weekly magazine.
Wow.
Radio. That's me playing an electronic drum set, a Roland early electronic set. Look at they're made of plastic, not like they are now. And Ray Ayotte had custom made that drum, that kick drum, like it was an electronic, like it was a pad, not a drum head on the beater side. So it's a fake drum. Anyway, this is Visions, the that we, after we recorded it, CFox Radio played a couple of the songs into local hits. So somehow we got together with the Vancouver Symphony and we did a show at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre and sold it out. So almost 3,000 people came to see this unknown thing, this thing called Visions, with the Vancouver Symphony. And the fellow conducting there in the white tails was Bob Buckley from Spring, the band Spring. Bob scored the whole thing for us. He took our record, he took our music and scored it for a symphony. Wrote the whole arrangements. And and part of the deal was that he got to conduct it in white tails. So there he is doing it. Of course, we'd already recorded it with the symphony at Little Mountain and Mushroom. And there we are playing it.
Bob is such a talent. Gosh,
such a talent, man. That was what he came up with, the music, the arrangement, the orchestral arrangement was just so cool. It was incredible.
There's Dave Steele off to the left.
Dave Steele was the lead singer on the album and live, and he was a big hit here at this show.
Yeah, you were talking about how he came in the last interview. You were talking about how he came out in a duck walk.
Yeah. Everybody went nuts. You know, the audience was sort of sitting there staring at us because we do this whole instrumental thing first, and he comes out with this, and the whole audience just went crazy. It was, I guess I don't know why. It must have shocked them or something. And that's Skip Prest, of course, in front of Bob Buckley there playing guitar. And it was funny again because we were playing along and it was quite stiff. There's like 10 songs that all sort of play together. They segue. And after about the third song, Skip, I can't see where, he had this very small amplifier there somewhere, you know, probably a Fender Twin or something. I can't see it. But I distinctly remember we were playing along and it was fairly early in the thing, and it was fairly stiff. You know, we were all quite nervous about playing with the symphony, and maybe they were nervous about playing with us. I don't know, but it was all quite stiff. And then I watched as Skip turned around and walked back to where that other guitar is somewhere and turned his amplifier way up. And I was going, oh no, this is horrible. Like we got to keep the volume down, you know, because of the symphony. I mean, they're all acoustic, right? They're just playing their violins. Anyway, and then he turned around and just started rocking on the guitar, and that changed the whole thing. It just took off from there. Like it was just, everybody was smoking. And we went all the way to the end and got standing ovations, and it was just one of the top 10 favorite performances of my career.
Now, I got a question to ask you. I'm assuming that John Hall is cut out of the picture on the right-hand side, just to your
John Hall is not involved.
Because I'm wondering who's on the other guy on keyboard. That's obviously not John.
Yes. No, it's not John. It's somebody else. And I apologize. My 73-year-old brain cannot remember his name. So John Webster, John Hall, let's go back. John Hall, Skip Prest, and I wrote the whole thing. And then we actually played it quite a few times together at the planetarium. That was a big hit. We sold 42 shows there. And it was really great. They did a whole visual thing on the ceiling of the planetarium that worked with the music. It was really great. After that, after we did that, John Hall had an incident and dropped out. and Skip and I recorded the whole Visions album with John Webster. So John Webster was virtually copying John Hall's work.
Oh,
He
I
added
see. I
some,
wasn't aware of that. Okay.
yeah, he added some things himself, that were pretty cool. But it was essentially just playing the John Hall parts. Same thing with Bob Buckley doing the arranging. He did all the arranging to John Hall's original, ideas, musical
Well,
ideas.
John had that Oberheim synthesizer, and he was so orchestral with that thing. It was
Oh,
unbelievable.
he was amazing with it. I've never heard anyone play that instrument like that. He Anyway, so we recorded it with John Webster, and then we went to do it live. John was still out of the picture. So this fellow here, whose name I can't remember, played it for us live. There we are again.
And then,
Yeah, there's more. Oh yeah, we had a light show. We had a guy that did this lighting thing, and there he is doing it.
this is the final picture.
This is we reformed this thing, or we did a reprise of it at the planetarium somewhere in the late 90s, I think, or maybe early 2000s. This is Rebecca took on the female part of it. It's quite a demanding role. It's not very big. It's like 3 songs. But it's very, very difficult. She did an amazing job. Anyway, she's an angel, as you can tell just by looking at her. And this photo was taken by Greg Dixon in front of this mural at the planetarium. So that's, the cosmos behind us. And there
What a
we
great
are.
shot. What a great shot. So Greg took that. Good.
Yeah, and it became the album cover. So
Mhm.
there is an album cover, with the this shot, only with the, it says Visions and what it is on it.
Well, thanks a lot for going through your career. Could I take just a few more minutes, just quickly? But I want to go through the fuck cancer thing just a bit,
Yeah.
because, and I'm going to do this here. Because I have them. I have a bunch of pictures here from the one in 2022,
Yeah.
and 1 second here. I'd like to go through those with you.
Sure.
Just not really go through them so much as I'm just going to scroll through them while you talk about it, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so this will be just a second. Open. Do I really want to open 85 atoms? Yes, I do. Can you see that?
Yeah. Ab Bryant.
Good. Okay. So I want you to sort of share your story a bit, if you don't mind, and
Yeah.
this whole thing of what you've accomplished with this whole cancer thing. As I'm scrolling through these pictures, by the way, I think we got to give credit to Asher Photography. These pictures are absolutely stunning.
Well, there were three photographers there. So we had there was Asher, there was Dee Lippingwell, and there was Quinn Bender, and they all 3 of them took phenomenal photos. So I don't know if these were all Asher photos or whether you're getting a mixture of
Okay, fair enough. I'm not sure myself. So,
but they all did, as you can see, the beautiful job. That's a gorgeous photo of our good friend Ab Bryant. He's actually singing lead on a Chilliwack song called "Crazy Talk,"
really?
and Bill's there. Bill Henderson, who wrote and sang it, of course, with Chilliwack. He was there. He thought that was really. They kind of shared it. Ab sang like a couple of verses, and then Bill jumped in too. So it was very cool.
Yeah, well, these are all
So
pictures from these are all pictures from your first one. You got one coming up soon again in 2023. And these are pictures from 2022, your inaugural event, which raised a tremendous amount of money.
It really did. $344,000. And now you want to, I can tell you how this whole thing happened. Is that what you want?
Sure.
Okay. So I originally got diagnosed with rectal cancer, colon cancer. and I went through 3 surgeries, radiation, and 6 months of chemotherapy, um, which was brutal. But I got through the whole thing. And at the end of it, I started to think it would be cool to the nurses and the staff that deal with cancer patients are so fantastic. They're so caring and just so kind, that when you go in to get your treatment, I mean, they're gonna pump you full of poison. It's gonna make you really sick, and they do it with such, just they're just so nice. So I thought I'd like to do something to do as a payback. So I thought I would get some of my pals together. There's one right there, Al Harlow, and Ab and John Hall, um, and Ray Ayotte, who plays with us sometimes. And we would do a little benefit concert somewhere, probably a pub. So I wasn't thinking very big. But then I was talking to other musicians and said what I was doing, and they wanted to play too. Can I play too? So it got bigger and bigger. And then we booked the Hollywood Theater, the new Hollywood Theater on Broadway, which supposedly had 500 seats. But so many musicians were getting on board that there wasn't enough room on the stage and backstage, especially. And I thought, you know what? I think we need more seats. So we found the Hard Rock Theater in Coquitlam, 1,100 seats, and we thought, okay, we'll do it here. And it grew into this quite big show with 33 musicians from 9 different bands. And we sold the place out. We sold every single ticket and raised all that money. So at the end of the show, it was such a love-in backstage. All the musicians just nobody left the wings. Like everybody was just in the wings, hugging each other and watching each other play, and joining in with different, like Paul Dean would just, here he is, and Paul Dean, he would walk out and play with Streetheart. Here he is with Mike Reno of Loverboy. But and it was a tremendous success. So all the musicians said, can we do it again next year? And so I thought about it, and I said, okay, well, I'd like to do that. And there's Donnie Underhill of Trooper, and so I said, okay, we'll do Cancer too. And we have there we all are at the end of the night. So we booked October the 21st, Saturday, October the 21st, at the Center for Performing Arts on Homer Street, downtown. There's the headpins. It's a bigger theater. And we're going to hopefully sell this place out. All the money, ticket money, 100% of the ticket money goes to the Cancer Foundation. All the costs of putting the show on, and the production costs, the sound, the lights, and all that sort of thing, advertising costs, all that, and it's quite considerable. The budget is all being paid by the two corporate sponsors, the Wheaton Precious Metal Company and BD. And there's also a couple of citizens that want to remain anonymous. But all the production costs are paid for. So people buy a $200 ticket. All their $200, every penny of it goes to the BC Cancer Foundation and winds up at a program called Profile, Precision Oncology for Young People. And it targets children's cancer. So we're raising money to basically aid the war on cancer for children. there's Jeff Neal.
Yeah. And
Joni
there's
By. Now we saw
By.
Joni By in a photo a while ago, singing with the Night Train Review, where she was playing the role of the Sweethearts of Soul with Kenny McCall. Well, here she is at last year's Fuck Cancer show, singing a Headpin song. They did two songs in the show, the Headpins, and Joni By sang one of them, and Kathy St. Germain sang the other one. But this year we have Rosa coming all the way. That's the lead. That's the Headpins' incredible lead singer, and she's coming all the way from Montreal specifically to be in this show.
Wow.
This year I have 44 musicians from 14 different acts. So it's a bigger show.
Lee Aaron.
Yeah, she was fantastic. This is right at the finale. So this is Raise a Little Hell. I think we did Raise a Little Hell for the finale.
Nick Gilder
and Al Harlow. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, quite an event. Now, is that Dave Steele's daughter?
Dave Steele with Olivia, his daughter, and they did a Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell song. Did a beautiful R&B song, Motown song. They did a great job on it. It was quite emotional, actually. Paul Dean. Now, Paul, in addition to donating his time to be here and do this thing, donated one of those guitars that he's playing there. Maybe it was that very guitar for an auction that we did. I can't remember the exact amount, but it might have been $10,000, and it all went to cancer research.
Wow. It's so nice when you see the community come together. Musicians they're the second responders.
Yeah.
You know, they always call on the musicians to come together to raise money. It's almost always over any other medium. That's a great shot.
Yeah, the lonely drummer.
That would be the new trooper with Dave Steele now.
We have a very interesting thing going on in Fuck Cancer too. We are presenting something called Trooper Hotshots, and it's 3 original members: Donnie Underhill, Tommy Stewart, and Frank Ludwig, plus David Wills and Ray Roper as singer and guitar player from the Stonebow Band.
Right.
But it's we're calling it Trooper Hotshots. So we're going to get a real great dose of Trooper.
It'd be you and John Cody, looks like.
That is John Cody, who was a real hero at the first thing. He played on a lot of the bands.
John Cody is an immense talent and a fantastic person.
I know. He real.
There's
good.
Ray Ayotte there.
There he is. There's Ray Ayotte playing his percussion.
Playing every drum ever made, I think.
I play whenever I play anywhere. I like to play with Ray. The Authentics did 3 shows out at the Blue Wave, and we had Ray.
Blue Frog, you mean?
What did I say?
You said Blue Wave.
Oh,
probably because you saw a picture of Tom Lavin.
yeah, Blue Frog. You're right. I mean, remember, there was also a demo studio in Vancouver called something Frog. So there's a lot of hard to keep your brain sharp enough to remember all this stuff.
That's a cool shot with the iPhone in the middle of it. Middle of it.
Yeah, somebody, lots of, you could see that everywhere in the crowd of people taking photos and videos. And I imagine a lot of it ended up on social media.
Oh, yeah, I saw a lot of it.
For our encore, we did a Jerry Doucette song called "Mama Let Him Play." Now Jerry died of cancer last year, so after we finished our last song, which was "Raise a Little Hell," with everybody on stage, I stepped up to the microphone and said we want to pay tribute to our fallen comrade, because a lot of the guys on the stage had played with him too. And I said Jerry Doucette, who died of cancer this year. So, because that's the whole thing with this thing is we want to kill this cancer thing, before it kills us. Anyway, this is Sean Klatt, and he sang the Mama Let It Play thing and did an incredible job. Just absolutely wowed the audience. There we all are at the end, saying goodbye. You can see look at all the
Oh, I'll go back.
look at all the people taking videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, old drummer, old guitar player who never gets old.
Yeah.
Another old singer who never gets old. I love that shot. John Hall, the keyboard set. Paul Dean. Oh, that guy again. Powder Blues horn section. There they are. My favorite shot of Lee Aaron. And her husband, the drummer, John Cody.
Kathy and Mike.
Husband and wife, Mike Reno and Kathy St. Germain, singing
Almost Paradise.
Almost Paradise. Yeah. Beautiful.
Doug Johnson,
the Loverboy keyboard player.
good shot of Doug and Craig Zerba.
Craig Zerba, who is acting as music director of Fuck Cancer 2.
Yeah,
Zerba is
that
the
makes
maestro.
sense.
He's the maestro.
Yeah.
Is the husband and wife again. Husband and friend. Mike and Paul. Mike. Old drummer.
Now you're
old drummer. Where did?
Now this must be you doing your solo piece.
I think it is, yeah.
And I saw the one, I saw it was posted and it was from Rufus.
Oh, the first one, yeah.
And you said that there's a one from Blue Frog that's really good, but I haven't seen that one. Do you know where it is?
Yeah. Well, what's happening is Kelly and the Blue Frog guys have started a campaign. The piece of music is called the Sonatina di Norton, and it's 13 minutes long. So he started a campaign where for $13 you get the Sonatina. You could the link to the Sonatina, which is 13 minutes, and they're going to donate that to my cause, to me, for my treatments and everything. So
yeah, because it should be
right now
it's
only available by going to the Blue Frog website, and I guess there's a link to it or something. You pay $13 and you get to hear the Sonatina. So they told me about this, and I said okay, but there will come a time very soon that I'm going to say let's just make it available now. Oh, what happened?
We're all done the pictures.
Ah,
But my it should be mentioned, I think, in this that you you don't benefit from the money you're raising. You're
No,
raising money for the Cancer Foundation, but
yes,
now because your treatments with the Cancer Foundation haven't had the results that you wanted, you're going to alternative medicines, which are never covered by the Cancer Foundation.
yes,
So basically, you're being probably the best guy on earth because you're working your butt off for the Cancer Foundation, even though you do not benefit from it one iota.
that's correct.
Yeah. You're just
Yeah,
paying back. You're just
it's
paying
a
back
full.
what they did
That's
for you so far.
well, yes, and and also, like this year, as I say, we've targeted children. Um, I just can't handle that there are children going through what I went through.
Right.
Uh, in how hard the treatments are, um, and having a child have to go through that is just beyond me. I just can't handle it. So I've targeted. That's why all the money's going there. Um, my personal situation is completely apart from anything to do with cancer too. In fact, I set it up so that the proceeds, or not the proceeds, the revenue of the ticket sales goes directly from the box office, from Ticketmaster to the BC Cancer Foundation. I never even see it, so I don't want to see it. So it the maximum amount of money goes there, and the people that buy tickets, they get a tax return. They get a tax receipt. I mean, so if you pay a $200 ticket, you'll get a tax receipt. Uh, and however, it won't be necessarily for 200 because the government takes off something for the value of the concert. So let's say they say the concert's worth $50. So then you get a tax receipt for 150, even though you paid out 200. But that's a government thing,
Yeah.
and that ensures that this people that buy tickets are actually buying, or they're actually making a donation, and the concert we give them is free.
Well, right now we're looking at a video, and that's a guy that has cancer.
Yeah.
That's which is absolutely mind blowing because your energy throughout all of this has been incredible. You and I have been in touch since the inception of your affliction, and you've always been up. And if you weren't up, you just said, "Can I talk to you tomorrow?" But generally, whenever I've talked to you, you've always been just an absolute trooper through this whole thing. And one can only hope that all of these treatments that you're about to embark on are going to help and curb this, or at the very least, your incredible disposition on dealing with this will save your life because you've been absolutely just my admiration for you is boundless right now.
Well, I mean that's great to hear. I just right away I adopted the attitude of I'm going to die of something. If it's going to be cancer, then it's going to be cancer. And and I've had an extraordinary life. I've done lots of things. I've had all the music stuff. I ran a business. I've written 6 books, raised a family. What more is there for me? Anyway, so if it takes me, it takes me, and I'm gonna play every day as best I can, and take every day, take it, just suck the joy out of every single day, and that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna keep doing it until it's over. So uh, that's just the way of it, we live, we die.
Well, I love you, pal.
I love you too, man.
You're a good guy, and I thank you for doing this. I think your words are going to offer comfort to a lot of people, and the work you're doing is especially going to offer a lot of comfort for people. And just as your work in the past has offered a lot of comfort for people, because people take great joy in music, and the hits that you've been a part of and the music you've been a part of has been a part of everybody's life, including my own, for decades now. So it's a beautiful thing, and my hat's off to you.
Let me disclose this. I'll finish off by saying this. I was just asked 2 questions recently, yesterday. One question is, who's the biggest asshole you ever worked with? And so I went, wow, so I thought about it and I answered. And okay, that was the question. And then the person said, well, who's the nicest person you ever worked with? And without hesitation, I said, Mick Delavitte.
Oh, that's very kind.
We'll leave it with that.
You're a lovely guy, buddy. And nice talking to you. Thanks for everything. And this has been a 2-part thing that's unprecedented. The first part was 2 hours. The second part is 1 hour and 30 minutes. So there's just so much to talk about all the time. That's why I said to you on a text message. You said, I can't wait. I said, yeah, I love talking to you.
You get 2 buffoons like us together and look what happens.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. Take care. Thanks for everything. I'll see you very soon. I hope to make it over for the fuck cancer too.
Yeah, me too. Love you, pal.
Take care, brother. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Okay.